Good evening. My name is Armida. This is the Province 5 Migration Ministry Network. It is January 20th, and we will start with Jack. So, Jack, thank you so much for joining us today, and you have the floor.
Thank you. Well, obviously I'd like to use your time as best I can, as efficiently as I can. So would you like me to sort of give a synopsis of the situation in Clay County? So everybody's nodding. I did send some background documents, but I think it's helpful to just have kind of a summary. So first of all, Clay County, Indiana is a rural county about an hour southwest of Indianapolis. And if you keep going another half hour in the same direction, you come to Terre Haute. It's a small county in terms of population, only about 27,000 people. And it's a pretty conservative place. It's 98% white, only about 1% Latinx, and about 75% of the voters voted for Donald Trump in both elections. So it's not exactly fertile ground for trying to win sympathy and compassion for detained immigrants, but that's what we're doing. But you may be aware that the state of Illinois last year passed a law that said it's not permitted for county jails in Illinois to hold detained immigrants for ICE any longer. So the 3 detention centers that were active in Illinois have had to, first of all, they challenged the law in court. A couple of them did anyway, but that seems to be resolved now, and all of the detention centers in Illinois are either releasing or, for the most part, transferring their detainees to other places. And it seems like this is probably part of what inspired the commissioners and county councilors in Clay County, Illinois, along with ICE and along with a company that is kind of the #1 in the industry of building and expanding prisons in Indiana, to cook up a plan, to come up with a plan to expand their jail significantly. It seems to be in order to take up the slack from the detainees who aren't held in Illinois anymore. So they seem to be seeing it as kind of a profit-making possibility. In fact, the estimated budget for this jail expansion that they want to do is $25 to $27 million, which won't, they say, lead to an increase in taxes because ICE detainees will pay them for keeping detainees there, and that will offset the cost of expanding the jail. So it's sort of like a free jail expansion, I guess is the way that they look at it. They do have a 20-year-old jail, so it's not an old jail, and they currently keep about 50 to 70 ICE detainees there at any time. And they have about an equal number of local people in jail. They're mostly on drug offenses, mostly methamphetamine. The project really started to get rolling last spring and early summer, and the county commissioners are kind of pushing it. And they have done most of their maneuvering and deal making very much in the dark. They've all of the decisions that they've made and plans that they've made and so forth have been done in either private session or in quasi public meetings, which they hold at 9 o'clock on Monday mornings, and almost nobody shows up because they're not really letting the information out that they're really thinking about anything important. It's just kind of business as usual. But naturally the fact that this is happening starts to trickle out, and it kind of inspired a coalition to come together to try to stop it, or at least raise objections to it publicly, and also led to the starting of a Stop the Expansion petition, which I think I've shared with you at some point, which now has over 44,000 signatures. So there is significant opposition, at least among the pro-immigrant community nationwide, although only 2,000 of those 44,000 signatures are actually from people in Indiana. So it's not clear that people in Indiana, which is a conservative state, are necessarily as opposed to the project as people in other places might be. One of the important groups in the coalition is the National Immigrant Justice Council, which has filed a number of FOIA requests trying to get the local government to share information about what they're doing. And for the most part, the local government has kind of ignored those FOIA requests, or at least been as minimally responsive as they thought they could get away with. So that's been kind of a difficult process. The government says that no decision has been made to build the jail, to expand the jail, and yet some of the documents that we have seen from the FOIA requests seem to indicate that the construction of the jail, the expanded jail, might start as soon as this spring, and they have started buying up and rezoning property that they want to use to make room for the jail expansion. So they seem to be moving things along, but trying to do it on the down low and not let people really realize what's going on. So because of all of this secrecy and the non-responsiveness to the FOIA requests, another one of the organizations in the coalition, which is called Mariposa Legal, it's an organization in Indianapolis, basically practices immigration law. They filed a lawsuit against the county commissioners, the county council, and the sheriff, complaining about the fact that they're not sharing any information with the community, and they, the crux of the complaint is that they're in violation of the open door law, which is kind of like a sunshine law, a lot of states call it, but it's kind of a weak sunshine law in Indianapolis, being Indiana being the conservative state that it is. So that was, kind of the state of play when in the news release that I sent a couple of days ago. And what's happened since then really is that the commissioners and the council people have gotten back to Mariposa, asking them, okay, what do we have to do to settle this out of court? And also, raising threats about how miserable they can make it for us if we really want to face them in court, and they'll say it's a frivolous lawsuit and we'll have to pay their legal expenses, and just kind of playing hardball about it to some extent. But anyway, the coalition came up with a list of demands or requests, I'm not really sure what you would call them, most of which focus on insisting on really opening the door to what is going on, sharing information publicly. One of the requests is to have a public meeting at a time and place that's convenient for the public, well publicize it, make sure it's available on Zoom, at least make an effort to get people to be more knowledgeable about the project and share information with the coalition that will allow us to help educate the public about the project. And then I guess another demand request is to wait 60 days after the settlement is finalized and then hold a public vote on the proposal, again, which would be done at an open meeting and hopefully well publicized and well attended. So, these are kind of efforts to slow the process down and at the same time make it more transparent. Won't necessarily lead to the people of Clay County, rising en masse and saying, you can't do this in our county. There, probably is a significant amount of support among the general public there for doing something like this. But it's a way to call attention to the problem, the issue, and to try to get it resolved in a way that gives the public at least access to what is going on, and gives our coalition an opportunity to communicate with the public, both in Clay County and throughout Indiana, what a different point of view is about immigrant detention and whether or not it's the right thing to do. The third part of the proposed settlement is just really to insist that all of the FOIA requests that have already been submitted and either ignored or completed in a very minimal way be treated seriously and that we get that information. So the next step is probably a counter proposal from the county that will say, okay, we'll do some of the things you're asking for, not all, and the negotiations will go back and forth. So we'll see what transpires. But the hope is that they will at least be open to slowing down the process and sharing a whole lot more information than they have up to this point, being a lot more transparent about it. If that's not the case, then we have a decision to make whether or not to go to court and risk the kind of negative consequences that they're threatening. So that's where the situation is right now. I guess if well, any questions about that? Is that clear?
Thank you, Jack.
I guess what I would go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to tell you about 3 years ago, something similar to exactly what is going on happened. And the council were planning on, expanding the jail to accommodate all those ICE, for ICE so that they can come in and they can transport people from Illinois, from Kentucky, and from Indiana to that place. And the community wasn't aware, even though the community is 98% or 99% conservative, they voted for Trump. We went there to protest. We didn't have to say a single word. During the meeting, it was the community group that opposed building it. And not only did they oppose it, they brought their children, everybody that you can imagine, so that the whole hall was overflowing. Though we don't agree with the rationale, why they don't want it, but they were opposing it as well as we were. So we let them carry on because their rationale was, if you build this, expand this jail and bring in all these undocumented immigrants, we're going to have more criminals here. Our people, our women are going to be raped. We're going to steal. Oh, they had all kinds of things. Why not? Yeah. We didn't agree with them, but they oppose it. And because of that, they stopped building it.
Yeah.
So that is what I'm hoping will happen this time again.
Well, that's very heartening, although I don't think I would, like the idea of the public showing up for the reasons that you talked about, but stopping the jail is probably most important. We have had some support from local people at some of the meetings. The coalition includes a group called Cosecha, which is sort of an activist group that sends people into the community to knock on doors and try to get the local people interested in the issue, and that's has had some effect when the commission has these meetings that they hold on Monday morning and hope nobody notices. Well, people are showing up now. And it's not just us, it's local people too. So you begin to see that developing, and that's one of the reasons why the strategy is kind of slow things down, try to get more allies, and move more and more in the direction of having the local community be very much a part of the process of objecting this. And from the local community's point of view, this is an expensive thing to do. ICE is not on record, have signed no contract saying we're going to fill all these beds with ICE detainees. They may or may not do that eventually, or they may not be able to do it. Also, from the point of view of the local community, as I've said, a lot of the people who are in the jail who are not detained immigrants are people with drug problems from the local community. And the community is open to the argument that shouldn't our local leaders have something in mind to address this drug crisis, other than building a bigger jail so we can lock all the people with drug problems up. So there's reasons, there are definitely reasons for them to be opposed, and there is some local opposition growing.
Yeah.
I guess what I would hope, if to just kind of ask, for your organization's support, it would be wonderful to, have a statement that would come from your organization and be sent to the local officials in Clay County and also to the interested media to say the Episcopal Church and Episcopal Migration Ministries oppose this, and here's why. And then it would also be extremely useful just to have a priest or priests and some parishioners, preferably from churches that are located in or near Clay County, show up at some of these public meetings and be willing to stand up with the clerical collar on and to make points about the Episcopal Church's objection and why to this particular project. So those are the kinds of, that's part of the reason I'm here, just to communicate with you about what's going on, but also to say, if you can help us, these are a couple of suggestions.
Yeah, I think there are a couple of churches that are planning on doing that here in Indianapolis, through Faith in Indiana and Cosecha. So exactly the same churches that participated in the earlier one are the ones that are planning to go out there too. And also what I recall happening, I saw that signature thing that was passing around. There are actually two that are being passed around. I think there is one for clergy. So it is happening. But the most important part is the community itself, especially when it comes to rezoning. That is where the whole thing fell apart the last time. So I think just mobilizing the community, that is going to be the biggest help that you can.
So Fatima, I'm just taking the notes here. So let me just make sure I heard you correctly. You confirmed that several churches in Indy and nearby are already participating in the protests?
Yes.
And that there are two petitions being passed around, one for clergy, one for the local community to sign. Although yes. I know Jack sent us a link to one of the partitions. So for those of you.
There is one through Care 2. Care 2. That is one of the petitions.
Right.
Okay. Which was the one you sent us, Jack?
I think it was Care 2.
Care 2. Care 2. Yes. Yeah.
Care 2, which I can share with everyone after this meeting, is one that we could sign as individuals. I guess the question is, are you asking for something from what, Province 5 or Migration Ministry Network as well to make a statement? Is that what I heard your ask was?
Well, I don't know what the appropriate part of the organization would be to do this. But if it's Province 5, that's great, because certainly Clay County is in Province 5. And just to have some type of official document that says the Episcopal Church opposes this, and here are our reasons why. If you look, I was looking at the Episcopal Migration Ministry website, and you could practically, just copy and paste the material there from why the church advocates against immigration detainment, and you would have 90% of the statement, I think. But the important thing would be to get it to me or to us, to the coalition.
Well, I'm not sure myself, but let me ask Fatima, since she comes from the bishop's office in Indianapolis, and the Diocese of Indianapolis, I believe, covers Clay County and Terre Haute, right, Fatima?
Terre Haute, yeah.
So is that a statement? Would you think the bishop's office would consider making a statement, or I mean?
The last time I asked, she said it wasn't time not to waste the currency for us to go out there and protest. And we did go twice.
Yeah.
I sent out a message, and I got the parishioner Soba Terre Haute to join me. And we have a group of people from Faith in Indiana and Cosecha, and all of us went there, and we attended 2 of those meetings. In
Brazil?
Pardon me?
In Brazil, Indiana?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I think that was 3 years ago or so. I think it was 3 years ago.
Well, there was a very similar issue in Terre Haute, which you may be thinking of. So this is an issue that's really only existed since kind of midsummer.
Well, what they have been doing is looking for rural areas that they can use.
Yeah.
They started out, going to Brazil, and that didn't work out. There is this other place, I'm trying to remember that now. I don't remember the community name, but if I check my notes, I will get those out and send it to Leslie. That was another one that they were trying to expand the jail. And we were there a number of times. We were at the court, at the jail, at the council office, trying to get them to stop. And they didn't listen to us until we started working with the community and knocking on doors and telling them they need to help us. As I said, they helped, but it wasn't the reason we wanted them to help.
Yeah,
So,
and that's exactly what Concecha is doing. I mean, they're spending a lot of time knocking on doors in Brazil.
Yes.
So, the effort to get the local people behind the process is ongoing. But what I'm wondering is if you could put me in touch with priests who you think might be willing to show up at the big public meeting that we're trying to arrange.
Okay, I can send a message to the priest over in Terre Haute and the deacon there and see what they can do.
Yeah.
I have not really participated so far other than sign, because I felt that there is still time, I in my mind, I feel that with the community opposing it, that, it will not happen. I may be wrong, but that is what I have been thinking.
Yeah. I mean, so far, I'd say the community support is developing, but in my view, they would have to have the type of community meeting that you were describing, where angry constituents are yelling at them, saying you must not do this. That we're not there yet, so we're working on that. So that's very much a recognized thing that needs to happen, but it's not happening so far. Not happening yet.
May I suggest, there's obviously more discussion that needs to take place. And also, I think we can get some good guidance from Heather about what can or can't be done. I'm not au fait with all the church hierarchy on these kinds of things. So may I suggest that Jack, you and me and Reverend Fatima and Heather take this offline, so we can pursue further what can be done on this really important topic. I will, as I said, also make sure, because I know Sylvia and Carol, for example, weren't on that email thread that you originally started with us, that gives the full background and then allows people to, as individuals, sign the petition if they so wish. So I'll make sure Sylvia and Carol, and for that matter, the other members of our group, get access to that so they can read about it and decide if they'd like as individuals to sign. And then you, me, Fatima, and Heather, we can, and Armida, you as well, but since it's in Fatima and Mai's backyard, I feel a little more ownership. So would that be okay? Does that feel?
That sounds perfect. Thank you very much for giving me a hearing. And,
yeah, no, well, particularly Fatima and I are pretty, since it's in our backyard, all in favor of looking into this. So
good.
Good. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us, and please stay on because I think we'd love to have you part of this group as a regular member.
Yeah, I would like to. I'd like to know more about what you're up to.
Yeah. So Amita, I think, because I know you don't have the agenda in front of you, I think the next item was going to be just follow up from our last meeting about where we stand now with regard to workshop for big provincial gathering. Because I think the last thing everyone knew was that we were going to approach Mother Julie to run a session for us.
Right, right. And she, there's a lot of stuff going on her plate, and unfortunately she wasn't able to make it. Now I do have a lot of information, at least in my region of Wisconsin, in terms of resources for people who want. There's a lot of people who want to help with the refugees, Afghani or even Haitian. Different communities have different refugee needs. So what I thought we could do is we could do a workshop on how people can help in our province. And one thing I'm hoping everybody can help me out with is bombard me with information from your area, like resources for people who want to volunteer. Like, here's a volunteer link for, Diocese of Michigan, or Northern Indiana, Ohio, wherever, where people can go. So that way, that when we have people coming to the workshop, if they have, I want to help, but I don't know who to contact. Well, where do you live? Where's your diocese? What state? Here's where you can go. Here's the number of this person. And I can do, I'm sure, a lot of research, Googling and stuff, but I kind of want to rely on you guys that are there to help me. And so just feel free to just send me, all those links and everything for that. And so, because I want to have resources for people. I don't know, how do you guys feel about that? Is that a good approach to it? Carol, you are muted.
Okay. Sorry about that. I'm very impressed and excited, because I've been going to attending webinars, if you will, however you call it, that the faith community-based partnership, and I think that's the government title for it, have been putting on about the creation of sponsorship circles. And today, EMM put on their neighbor to neighbor webinar on how EMN is supporting and can support sponsorship circles. And I think, like, that's something that our little church, could help another church that's doing this. And so I think that that's sort of a new thing, and that, if you have a chance to talk something about that. And EMM has all these webinars recorded. So, I mean, it's an hour to watch. And so in terms of resources for people, I would think, just going through that, because that, and I hadn't appreciated that. Yes, you have a sponsorship circle has to come up with the $22.75 per family person, but they're really only committed to supporting financially that first 90 days, which is what that $22.75 is for. And of course, the good part about that is that none of that then has to go to a resettlement agency. If they're resettled through the settlement agency, the refugee basically loses $1,000, because the settlement agency gets $1,000, and then the refugee only gets $1,170, about $1,200. So it's a benefit for both, all the way around, seemed like to me. So that's what I've been learning about.
Carol, I was on the same webinar today, and I found it really interesting, because some of us who were part of this network at the very beginning, last summer, heard about the neighbor to neighbor program that the Episcopal Migration Ministries was running for asylees. They've now got this second branch, which is for Afghan refugees, and understanding that nuance was really interesting to learn about. And then the whole process for, if you wanted form a sponsorship circle with 5 adults. What does it take and what have you? That was very educational. I'm getting real creative here, and Heather, speak up if I'm way offline here, but I did make note of the fact that Allison Duvall, who's with EMM, and we've met before, but she was online and she was moderating the webinar today. She lives in Lexington, Kentucky. So it crossed my mind, it's not that far a drive for her to get to South Bend, although I don't know what expenses we would need to cover if she wanted. So is that crazy talk, Heather, or do you...
It's not crazy, but considering budget is very important.
That's what I wondered. Yeah, because we would probably have to pay for her gas and her hotel room, right?
Maybe the Episcopal Migration Ministry office would cover that for a visit to Province 5.
Yeah. Anyway, it crossed my mind that, oh my gosh, I didn't realize for some reason, I thought she was on the East Coast. She mentioned she was in Lexington, Kentucky, and I went, you hop on a highway, girl, you could get to South Bend in probably 2 to 3 hours. So, anyway, but I can imagine if she came, then that would dominate the entire hour. We got one workshop for an hour. Is that correct, Heather? And we may want to share broader than just the sponsorship circles. So that's the other consideration. But I just wanted to, that crossed my mind today. So I thought I'd share that.
If I can interrupt quickly while Carol was talking and Jack talked too, I was wondering, because his situation, not his situation, but the project he's talking about, the expansion of that jail is occurring within Province 5. Would it make sense to elevate that also at this big provincial gathering? Because then you maybe get some people from Illinois and Indiana who weren't aware of it or as aware of it, interested in supporting that project.
Jack, just so you know the timing, we're talking about the big provincial gathering, which will be taking place in South Bend, Indiana at the end of April. So I'm not sure where your project would be at that point.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's sure, but I think it's unlikely to be a dead letter, because I think even if the government in Clay County decides to go ahead with this project, they haven't heard the last of it. It'll continue to be protested and continue to be an issue even after they, I hope not, but if they do make that decision. So no, I don't think it'll be all over by.
Okay, I was just wondering about timing. Yeah. I'm just looking at Heather's comments here.
The first one has to do with Allison perhaps coming for the BPG.
Okay.
There's another plan in my head about what to do in 2023. Conveners haven't all had that conversation yet. And especially new conveners of new networks like Armida. And but it may be that let's start talking to her, but we may find, right, that an hour workshop may not be cost effective for EMM or us. Or EMM might say, wow, this is a chance to see a whole province. Yeah, we want to go there. So she might come in and visit with us this time. But it may work for our next event. So I don't want to jump ahead to 2023 until we get BPG 2022.
Yeah, right. Out of the way.
And so I put a link there, Jack. So if you haven't seen BPG 2022, that's the information. I think everybody else in this group has seen it.
Thank you. I was just going to ask about that.
Yep. But that's all the information, and registration is there, and registration is open. Everybody is invited. So please share it with everyone. I'm sorry, I'm doing my BPG ad right now. I hope that's okay.
Go for it.
I'm trying to find
Invite
the
them
chat.
all. I'm sorry, what?
I'm trying to find the chat. Okay.
Yep.
I got it.
So $50 is the cost of it, and you can register now. Obviously, COVID, it's fun. we're all crossing our fingers. Numbers are looking good, right? And this is exactly the end of the year. People were starting to freak out. They're like, numbers are going up. And I said, this will be good. It's going to go up and then it's going to come down. And then we're going to have the BPG and we're all going to be in person and we're all going to be vaccinated and we're all going to wear our masks. And we're all going to wear our masks. So that'll be the thing. And we hopefully numbers will be down and we'll be able to gather safely. So that's the plan for that. You can sign up you can register, you can sign up for your workshops. And it is our hope that everyone who wants to attend can. If there are concerns about funds, there are scholarships available. So we definitely want people to come and attend and be part of that event.
All right, and then Leslie, what was the next item? Or was there any other quick questions, concerns? Hello?
So questions or concerns on BPG? Is that what you were asking?
Yeah, otherwise we can move on to the next item.
Yeah. So just to confirm, Armida, you're pulling together the content for an hour-long session that would be, how can people help in Province 5 with migrant
success stories as well. You know, how is Province 5, first of all, what we're doing already and what can we do, what can we continue to do, and resources for people who want to still get involved, so that then they can take that to their parishes, to their diocese plural,
diocese or
diocese, and you know, and continue the work there. So feel free to send me stuff. I'm looking at you, Sylvia. So
and I'm sure Fatima's got some stuff too.
oh, I know it. I'm waiting on those emails.
Yeah.
Leslie,
yes.
I just sent you a link. Maybe that is something you can send out about this detention center. They kind of give details about, you know, all the people that are working on it, and especially with the local community.
Okay. Did you send that to my private email?
Oh, I don't know, the one we usually use.
Okay, because I'm not seeing it in chat.
No, yeah, to your email.
Okay, okay, great. Yes, I see it now. Thank you. Thanks, and I'll share that. Great. If there's nothing else on BPG, then I just had a very short item. It's more a plea. I'm currently taking the notes tonight, but every time I take the notes, I'm invariably cut off because I have a piano lesson and my husband's one is winding up now. So I always have to bail before 9 p.m. usually. So I'm looking for volunteers to take notes at future meetings. I can assure you it's not that hard. I even have a little template now. You'll be able to see examples on the on our little website, but it's all about just checking who's attending and then looking at the agenda and just putting a few bullet points underneath it. It's nothing fancy, but if, and Armida being the convener, you can't really take the notes plus lead the meeting. So, so anyone willing to be a note take, could I get a volunteer for next time for February, or I'll come.
You have to come in for the whole time, just next meeting only.
Yeah, and the next meeting, just so you know, is February 17th. And anybody likely to be here for February 17th? Do you know? Otherwise, I'll work offline.
No, I should volunteer.
Oh, bless you. Thank you, Carol.
Okay,
so we got you down for February, and then we'll just try and rotate so we can spread the wealth.
Nobody wants to do it all the time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carol.
What do they say? Your reward will be in heaven.
Yeah, well, I don't need that reward, even in heaven.
Come on, Carol, we all need that reward.
I know. I'm going to work on it another way, Jack. Thank you. But yeah, you're right.
Well, bless you, Carol. Thank you. And then Armida, the next item was basically updates from around the province from everybody.
Yeah, what's everybody been up to with this work? I'm excited to hear. We heard from Jack. I can share. In this whole working with the refugees, I've become extremely good friends with three guys. I was gonna work with the families, but everybody said, "Oh, we want to work with families and with kids." And I said, "You know what? Just pair me up with whoever." And it was great. You know that uh, in our family we celebrate Christmas Eve, not Christmas Day. Weird, I know. But so then Christmas Day, my kids were gone. My husband was actually on call. So then I had nothing to do. So then I went to visit them because there was nothing for them to do. I had the most amazing Christmas day in so
Oh,
long with them. You know,
Uh,
they bring you it, they make you tea. I don't like tea. Now I love tea. And you know, from Afghanistan, it is amazing, and they are just like the most amazing people. You know, they're like and they're very overprotective. So they're like, I have three brothers now. So they are amazing people. I just love working with them, and I'm like, they think I'm helping them. They have no idea how much they've done for me. It's
oh.
amazing. I love these people so much. So anybody, if you get a chance to volunteer with them, take it. I can't imagine not doing this anymore.
I'll share on my side, but Fatima, you could probably speak to this more. You know, as people say, what can we do for Afghan refugees in our area around the central southern Indiana? We still got several Afghan refugees in our camp Atterbury, which is the camp where many of them first came to. There was at one point, I think 7,000, it's much less now. But one small project that I think maybe Fatima, you spearheaded, but we've got our parish collecting different colors of yarn for the Afghan women and young girls to knit, because they were just going crazy with nothing to do. And so they wanted to be able to knit and make things. And so people, you know, because there was a huge outpouring of support and donations of clothing and what have you, so much so that they finally said, stop, we've got more than enough. But then they suddenly said, wait a minute, but what we don't have is the right color of yarn and knitting needles. And it's such a small thing to do, but apparently being well received. So it was an example, I think, Armida, that we could share of, you know, parishes who aren't ready to take on all of, you know, the sponsorship obligations can do small things like donation drives or, you know, or tangible things and feel good that they're at least doing something. Fatima, what would you add to that? Because you're way more involved than me on this.
I think everything you said is what I would have said. The problem now is that they are closing and we are not able to continue with that kind of help. I understand that about 700 were reallocated within Indiana, and the rest, you know, outside the state. So now all the groups that we are doing the coordination and all, they have closed up. And we no longer have that access for us to be able to participate in helping those women, children. I really, really like the way the yarns color were described. They want something really bright, you know, that you can give to them. But I think that we can continue with Exodus if we would like to, if parishes still want to, you know, have that kind of relationship with those that have been assigned.
Yeah, just for those who don't know, Exodus is our local migration resettlement agency here in Indianapolis.
Oh, sorry, I should have said that.
Yeah. No, you and I know them well. I don't think everyone else does. And with that, I'm afraid I'm going to have to depart. My piano lesson awaits. So, Armida, if you can just make sure to let me know of anything critical that I missed from here on out. I know we're almost at the end of the meeting.
Leslie, can I ask you one quick question before you go?
Sure.
It sounded like you were suggesting that this idea of being able to do small things to support the refugee effort is something that maybe should be shared nationally. Is that something that maybe Sylvia and I could take back to the Episcopal Migration Ministry, the kind of national arm of it, and see whether it's spreading the word about that opportunity as something that could be done through that national?
I mean, I think Fatima could give you more details because she spearheads more of that around this area. But yeah, little things like, and I don't know how relevant donation drives are now, although, donating to Episcopal Migration Ministry or donating to local resettlement agencies is always, something small, but very valuable, I think, no matter when it is.
Yeah, I was liking your idea of doing small in-kind things as something that
like the yarn and needles.
Right.
By all means, I share that if that's helpful. Heather raised the question of whether we want to do any kind of collection at BPG. So that's something for us to think about.
Yeah, I think we can definitely think on that, and that might be something to consider for like EMM.
Yeah, or and then so whether it's yarn or it's clothing or whatever, is there something we could something tangible, because people seem to like that. And with that, I really have to run.
Okay.
So,
have a great night.
Thank you so much.
Music. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you all.
Have a good night, Leslie. Jack, I found that the name of that place where we work on blocking the expansion is Eckerd, Indiana.
Okay.
Yeah, I will actually put it on the chat. I hope I can get there.
Yeah, if we could duplicate that kind of effort in Clay County, that would be wonderful.
It was neat, but one thing, as I said, that wasn't good was when the community started coming out to give testimony, and you would cringe at what they are saying.
Yeah, I know.
These are criminals, these are this, but that was not why we were stopping it.
Right. And you hadn't suggested that point of view to them, I'm sure. That was just that was something they were adding to the argument.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we had anything else. We're kind of coming up on the hour. Was there anything else anybody wanted to discuss for the good of the meeting? No? All right, well then, I do have a close. Heather, did you want to, because you already kind of did your little plug-in earlier, so, Okay, so then I will bring us up closing prayer so we can all kind of center ourselves, take a moment of quiet. So I'll be reading the previous prayer and this one are both actually from Lutheran Immigration and Refugee Services. So great prayers that I found. So there we go. Oh God, you give justice to the weak and the orphan. Fill us with strength and courage as we walk alongside children and families who seek welcome and comfort. Lead us to honor the humanity in people who must flee. Lord, in your mercy.
Hear our prayer.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming and joining us. Thank you so much, Jack, for updating us on that important information, and we'll definitely be keeping an eye on it. I know Reverend Fatima can help you with that.
Thank you so much, Jack. Thank you. Really appreciate you talking to us tonight.
Well, thank you for listening and for being interested in helping us. Great.
Absolutely. And the great and powerful Oz, Heather, thank you so much for always being behind the curtain.
That's my job. Happy to be here.
All right. Everybody have a good and blessed night and good and blessed month, and we'll see you all next time.
Y'all too. Stay warm.
Good night,
I'll
All
Steve.
right, you too.